Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is The Boys, full series recap before the final season. Welcome to a world with superheroes, and to be realistic, they are super celebrities. But it's also realistic about their powers. This isn't the PG-13 Avengers. Superpowers are very messy. Our story begins with a normal guy, Huey Campbell, who's happily in love with his girlfriend Robin. But today, Robin is run over by a speedster soup. Sorry man, my bad. And Robin is obliterated. Basically, she was hit by a train. Now the soups are managed by the big corporation Vought. So A-Train gives the standard corporate apology, and the lawyers give Huey the standard settlement and non-disclosure agreement. But Huey doesn't sign yet, which attracts the attention of Billy Butcher. He claims to work for the FBI on a special task force bringing bad soups to justice. But he doesn't really act like a federal agent. His vibe is basically an R-rated Captain Jack Sparrow. Oi, Huey, grab your bollocks. We're gonna ram our so far up those they'll be out there. Savvy? Butcher tells Huey this kind of thing happens all the time and gets swept under the rug. Turns out superheroes are selfish assholes who don't care who they hurt. But not all soups are bad. Meet Annie, aka Starlight, a small-town soup from Iowa with super cool light powers. And she was just selected to be the newest member of the Seven. Yes, over at Vought Tower, the Seven are the biggest superhero team in the world. They're basically the Justice League. And so overnight, Annie is one of the 7 most famous people on the planet. She's excited to work with her favorite heroes like the Aquaman type, the Deep. Unfortunately, he immediately threatens to have her fired if she doesn't have sex with him. Yeah, don't meet your heroes. But not all the 7 are bad, right? Certainly not Homelander, the Superman type who's a paragon of heroism. Nope, turns out that's all an act. Homelander is the worst of all. At best, he is a whiny man-baby who throws a tantrum anytime his ratings drop. And at worst, he is a sadistic, cold-blooded killer. Being basically a god has given him zero regard for human life. When he goes to save a hijacked plane, he gets too trigger-happy with his laser eyes and destroys the controls. Oops. So instead of saving them, he just killed all these people. The Wonder Woman type, Queen Maeve, at least has the decency to feel bad. It's always a fear that one day Homelander will snap and go full evil Superman and take over the world. But holding him back is his desperate need to be loved by the crowds. And so Butcher explains to Huey that all Soup's biggest weakness is blackmail. They all get up to bad stuff, but don't want their reputations ruined. He has Huey demand an in-person apology from A-Train so he can plant a bug in 7 Tower. Unfortunately, Huey was spotted by the Invisible Man type Translucent. That night he comes to kill Huey, but he's saved by Billy Butcher. Huey's like, yo, you gotta call this in to the rest of the FBI. But Butcher reveals he doesn't actually work for the FBI. Yes, he's a vigilante, taking down bad soups with his team, known only as the Boys. There's Marvin Milk, MM, who's a bit OCD and keeps trying to retire to be with his family. His main job on the team is trying to keep Butcher from being too extreme, at which he mostly fails. Then there's Frenchie, the science guy, who's a genius at finding ways to kill soups, who are notoriously difficult to kill. For example, Translucent has diamond skin. He's basically invincible from the outside. So Frenchie figures, let's stick a bomb up his butt. Yeah, that'll do the trick. And so Huey pulls the trigger, kills his first bad soup. Meanwhile, Huey had a random meet-cute with Annie, and these two actually start to date. Life in the Seven has continued to disappoint. Everything about it is hypocritical and awful. Even the crime-fighting part is totally staged for the social media likes. Finally, Annie's had enough. She goes off script and talks about some of Vought's hypocrisy, and also calls out the Deep for sexually harassing her. So the Deep is canceled, and he's demoted from Lord of the Seven Seas to Lord of a water park in Ohio. In fact, he becomes kind of a funny, pathetic joke background character. He keeps trying to save marine animals, but always makes things worse. In charge of managing the Seven at Vought is Madeline Stillwell, who's proud of Annie for speaking her truth, but if you ever go off script again, you'll be kicked out of the Seven and sued into oblivion. So for now, Annie's gotta play nice. Now it's finally time to investigate A-Train. The boys discover that to stay ahead of the competition, he's been juicing with a super steroid Compound V. Turns out Vought is secretly giving Compound V to babies, which gives them superpowers. When the guards come in, Butcher uses the super baby to laser them, which gives Butcher his catchphrase,
"That was diabolical."
Now the boys discover Vought's big secret. All soups were made this way. Yes, their powers didn't come from God. Their parents let Vought inject them with sketchy chemicals. Homelander is especially unique. He didn't have a family at all. He was fully made in a lab. This has given him deep-seated mommy issues, and that's how Madeline Stillwell controls him. She is his milk mommy. But now the boys find Compound V in a sketchy warehouse where it was given to an adult foreign woman, Kimiko. Frenchie tries to befriend her, but Kimiko doesn't talk. In fact, right now she's pretty feral. But now coming after Frenchie is one of the Seven, Black Noir. He also doesn't speak and is often found in the background, being randomly hilarious. But he is a cold-blooded killer, so Kimiko comes to save Frenchie. Black Noir actually beats her, but that's Kimiko's power. She has super healing. Eventually, she and Frenchie invent their own sign language, and in fact, they fall in love. She explains she was captured and inducted into a terrorist group, but she's not a terrorist. She doesn't want to hurt anyone. And now we understand Vought's evil plan. All season long, they've been trying to get soups in the military, which the government does not want. want, so they're giving Compound V to terrorists to create super terrorists that the military will need Vought soups to go and fight. And so their evil scheme has worked. But turns out this was not Vought's evil scheme, it was Homelander's personally. He wanted to prove that he's a smart guy and not just a puppet to be managed. Now Vought finally finds the boys, so Starlight comes to rescue them. A-Train comes to stop her, and so it's a superhero fight. But juicing himself with Compound V is actually real bad for him, and he has a heart attack. As for Billy Butcher, it turns out he and Homelander have old personal beef. Butcher was once a normal guy who was happily married to his wife Becca, who in fact worked for Vought as Homelander's social media manager. But one day she disappeared, and it seemed like Homelander raped her, then killed her to cover it up. So Butcher's one and only goal is revenge on Homelander. So Butcher captures Madeline Stillwell to kill the woman Homelander loves, but Homelander's like, love is a strong word. In fact, right now he's mad at her. Turns out Homelander did not kill Butcher's wife Becca. He asks the old Vought scientist what happened to her. Turns out Becca got pregnant and the super baby killed her. But when Homelander asked Madeline Stillwell, her story was slightly different. And Homelander's biggest thing, he hates being lied to, so he lasers Madeline in the face. He flies Butcher out of there. Hey man, you're gonna want to see this. Because turns out his wife Becca is still alive. Yes, the baby did not kill her. This whole time she's been raising Ryan, Homelander's super son. In season 2, we learn Vought has Becca hidden away here in the hopes that having Ryan raised by his mother in a relatively normal situation will make him well adjusted without Homelander's issues. Homelander was never supposed to know, but now he's gotten it in his head he wants to be a good father, so now he starts hanging around and Becca can't stop it. But she convinces him not to kill Butcher, so Butcher's reunited with his wife. He wants to break her out of there, but Becca won't leave Ryan. He's a good kid and she loves him, so she's not leaving unless he's coming with. Now Homelander's brought in for a meeting with the big boss of Vought, CEO Stan Edgar. Homelander's proud of his master plan to get Soups into the military, but Stan Edgar lets him have it, pointing out all the ways that plan was dumb and awful. Homelander is not used to being talked down to, but Stan Edgar's cool as a cucumber. He is unintimidatable. Meanwhile, Starlight is still in the 7. A-Train's the only one who knows she is a traitor, but she has dirt on him too, so these two are at a stalemate. But the boys are America's most wanted. Butcher tries to clear their names with his CIA contact, Grace Mallory. Turns out the boys used to be an actual official CIA team, but things went bad. But the boys have a chance to clear their names if they can catch the newly arrived super terrorist. And that turns out to be pretty easy because he is Kimiko's brother. But now the 7 need to do their job and actually stop a supervillain. And since the boys are on the water, it's the Deep's time to shine. He's continued to be a joke character that joins a cult who recruits you by offering you a fresca. But this is his shot to make it back in the big leagues. But Butcher is crazy. He crashes the boat into the whale. That was diabolical. So the rest of the 7 have to finish the job, including their newest member, Stormfront. She's a young soup who's an expert in social media and in general seems pretty cool. But she's not cool. Like most soups, she doesn't care about civilian casualties, and she's a huge racist. So now as the news about Compound V finally comes out, it's overshadowed by a bigger story: the 7 stopped a supervillain. So it doesn't matter where superheroes come from, we need them to protect us, and Vought gets off with no consequences. So the soups are sent to fight terrorism around the world, but the video surfaces of Homelander being pretty unheroic. Stormfront shows him how to fight it, using the power of social media to spread misinformation and hate. And it works so well, the MAGA crowd just eats it up. Now Stormfront has an evil plot of her own. She's running a secret lab where she's testing Compound V on adults. It fully kills most people, or you end up with a gross, weird, useless power. But if she can get it to work, she's gonna build an army of super white supremacists. Homelander's not really racist, except to be a soup supremacist, but Stormfront gets him on board with sex, as these two start up a super romance. The boys find out about this lab and bring it to Victoria Newman, the young congresswoman who's leading the charge against Vought corruption. And Butcher convinces the old Vought scientist to testify by very menacingly drinking tea. So it looks like Vought is going down, because they can't just kill him on live TV, unless there was a soup who could blow up people's heads with no indication of where it was coming from. It turns into a massacre, and the hearing is cancelled. Meanwhile, Stormfront had been working to get A-Train kicked out of the 7, so A-Train leaks intel to Huey and Annie. We're not friends, but Stormfront's gotta go down. Turns out Stormfront has a big secret. She's way older than she looks. As part of her powers, she doesn't age. And she's not just a normal racist, she was a literal Nazi. And there's no way to spin it. Even the MAGA crowd doesn't like Nazis. So Stormfront comes to kill them all, and it's a Supergirls fight. Meanwhile, Butcher was working on a plan to get Becca and Ryan out, but now Stormfront catches them. So far, Ryan didn't seem to have any powers, but now with his mom in danger, oh, it's laser eyes, blast Stormfront so hard, completely takes her out. Unfortunately, he also hit his mom. Becca makes Butcher promise that he'll take care of Ryan, and it's tragic as Becca dies. So Homelander comes to pick up his son, but Ryan's decided he likes his mom's friend Butcher better. Homelander's gonna just kill Butcher, but he's saved by Queen Maeve, coming in with Homelander's biggest weakness, not kryptonite, but blackmail. She found video of the plane crash at the beginning, and if that got out, his reputation would be ruined forever. So Homelander has no choice but to let Butcher and Ryan go. Ryan goes with Grace Mallory to be raised by the CIA, hopefully well, and Butcher and the boys finally get their names cleared. In season 3, they make the movie Dawn of the Seven, which blames everything on Stormfront, and once again Vought gets off with basically no consequences. But the boys are no longer criminals, so Huey and Annie start dating for real. Huey gets a job working for Victoria Newman, where he can take down bad soups from behind his desk, where he'll hopefully be less covered in blood all the time. But one night he follows Vicky and discovers that she is a soup. In fact, she's the head popper that attacked the Vought hearing last season. Turns out she grew up in a soup orphanage for kids whose powers accidentally killed their parents, which is tragically way too common. And she was adopted by none other than Vought CEO Stan Edgar. Yes, Vought and their biggest opponent are secretly working together. Meanwhile, thanks to Maeve's blackmail video, Homelander has been under control. Homelander's been apologizing for accidentally dating a Nazi. Finally, Homelander's had enough. He goes on an unhinged rant about how the woke liberal media is trying to tear him down because he's an alpha male. So his numbers go down overall, but the MAGA crowd eats it up. And Homelander's realized he needs to stop trying to appeal to everyone. He just needs a core crowd of followers that worship him. He calls Starlight's blackmail bluff. If you release the video and destroy my reputation, then there's nothing stopping me from going full evil Superman and conquering the world. So new Homelander, off the leash, decides to take control of Vought. He makes a deal with Victoria Newman to blame some crimes on Stan Edgar. She's like, sorry Pops, but you'll just go to rich guy jail. I got a long-term plan. I gotta do what's best for me. So Homelander is in charge of Vought. Though he runs it very poorly, he immediately fires anyone competent and replaces them with loyal lackeys. Ashley Barrett was Madeline Stillwell's assistant, who's thrilled to be the new official CEO. Though the real boss is Homelander, and with the constant stress of maybe being lasered, she's pulled out all her hair. Homelander recruits another lackey. Yes, the Deep is back in the Seven, but Homelander makes him prove his loyalty by eating his friend the octopus Timothy. And in a show full of disgusting scenes, this is among the most disturbing. So with Homelander going wild, finding a way to kill him is priority 1 again. Unfortunately, it seems he's completely invincible, but there was an old hero, Soldier Boy, a Captain America type who fought in World War II. He was just as strong as Homelander, but apparently something killed him. His super team Payback was on a mission during the Cold War. The Russians attacked and apparently killed him with the mysterious super weapon. So the boys head to Russia and find their secret soup science lab. When the guards rush in, things look bleak, but Butcher has a secret weapon. Turns out Vought has been developing temporary Compound V. Butcher got his hands on some, so now he has laser eyes. That was diabolical. Huey took some too. He got teleport powers, which mostly just makes him naked. So Temp V is super cool, but it seems bad for your health. Now turns out the super weapon that killed Soldier Boy doesn't exist. Soldier Boy is alive. Yes, the Russians captured him, but have been unable to kill him, and all the experiments they did on him just gave him a new explosive laser power. So they bring him back to America, where, unlike Steve Rogers, who is a great guy, Soldier Boy is a more realistic man from the 40s, a huge misogynist asshole. Butcher makes a deal to help him track down and kill his old team members who betrayed him to the Russians. In exchange, Soldier Boy will kill Homelander for him. So they track down his old teammates, the Super Twins, who turns out today are hosting the annual superhero orgy, Herogasm. It is an unhinged, insane scene I just can't show any of. One thing of note though, the Deep has sex with an octopus. And now Homelander shows up and Soldier Boy is not impressed. You're just a cheap knockoff of me. Oh no, I'm the upgrade. And yeah, superhero fight. Soldier Boy and Homelander duking it out, and Butcher's ready to join in too. Yes, he took some more Temp V, and a point-blank radiation blast might actually kill Homelander, but how now he escapes. Homelander has no backup because his super team is useless. Because of his heart, A-Train can't run anymore. He tries to help the black community, but he only succeeds in making a new energy drink commercial. And things go bad when his brother is attacked by a racist hero, Blue Hawk, and Blue Hawk gets off with a standard corporate apology, just like A-Train did when he ran over Robin at the beginning of the series. So A-Train kills Blue Hawk, but using his powers, he has a heart attack again. They're able to save his life by transplanting Blue Hawk's super heart. So, irony. The one member of the Seven Homelander can count on is Black Noir. Turns out Black Noir used to be on Soldier Boy's team, and he was a normal guy who could talk just fine. He had just decided he was no longer going to hide his face by wearing that helmet, which unfortunately led to his brain injury. But Soldier Boy has just discovered that Homelander was made using his DNA. I'm kind of your father. And Black Noir knew this, but never told Homelander, and Homelander hates being lied to. He kills his friend Black Noir. Homelander tries to make peace with Soldier Boy and brings in his son Ryan too. Yes, Grandma Grace Mallory had Ryan hidden away in a CIA safe house where Butcher would come to visit and started to really love this kid. But for dumb reasons, he tried to push Ryan away, and so when Homelander eventually found him, he ran right into his super dad's arms. So Homelander's like, "Hey Pops, I want us to be a happy super family." But Soldier Boy's not interested, so he attacks Homelander, and Ryan protects his dad. Now Soldier Boy attacks Ryan, so Butcher has to attack Soldier Boy. So Butcher and Homelander find themselves fighting on the same side. The rest of the team arrives too, and long story short, they subdue Soldier Boy. But now he's going to explode, so it's Queen Maeve who tackles him out the window. Boom! Saves the day. Except now Homelander is finally going to kill all the boys. But Ryan begs him not to, and despite all his flaws, Homelander wants to be a good dad. So he walks away and lets them live once again. Soldier Boy survived the blast. He's now back on ice in custody of the CIA. Queen Maeve apparently died, but she survived too, though the blast removed her powers, so now she gets to live her dream of retiring for a quiet private life. But Billy Butcher is dying. He took too much temp fee and has about a year left to live. But that's enough time to take down one last bad soup because Victoria Newman is now running for vice president. Starlight, meanwhile, finally quits the Seven. She's going to use her influence to be a full-time anti-Vought, anti-Homelander activist. Homelander fights back, says all the truth Starlight reveals is just fake news. In case you hadn't realized yet, the similarities to real-world American politics are not exactly subtle. Homelander introduces his son Ryan, but one of the Starlighters throws some trash at him, so Homelander responds by lasering this guy. He may have finally gone too far, killing a person in public, but nope, his supporters cheer him for it. Now it's time for Gen V Season 1. Welcome to the Superhero College, Godalkin University, God U. We follow freshman Marie Moreau, who's had a rough life so far when she manifested blood powers and accidentally killed her parents. Now she's ready to prove that she's a true hero, but most of the soups at God U are not hero material, they end up being actors. The top soup at school is Luke, Golden Boy, who has Human Torch powers. He's actually a real good guy, and Marie makes friends with his crew, like Andre, who's got metal powers, Kate, who's got mind control powers, and Jordan, whose powers involve swapping gender, boy for defense, girl for offense. But now Golden Boy kills his professor. He just learned some dark secret that makes him feel so guilty, he kills himself. His friends investigate and discover under the school is the secret evil science lab, the Woods. And prisoner down here is Luke's brother, Sam, who he thought died years ago. All the adults have been lying to him. So they get help from Marie's roommate, Emma, aka Little Cricket, who has shrinking powers. She sneaks down there and rescues Sam, and Sam is a good guy. These two start a romance. But he has some mental issues and sometimes dissociates, sees the world as puppets. Vought's goal with the science lab is to find a way to control their soups. They've developed a virus that temporarily nullifies powers. But the dean has her own agenda. She hates soups and has them make the virus lethal. Now Victoria Newman visits campus and has a meeting with Marie, where she reveals she has the same type of blood powers. Yeah, blood sisters gotta stick together. Marie tells her about the Woods and the virus, and she's like, "Don't worry, I got it." But she doesn't expose it. In fact, she covers it up and takes the virus for herself. Yeah, she's got her own plans. So our crew decides it's time for a big Woods prison break. These prisoners are rightfully angry, but they channel that anger into a kill-all-humans murder spree. Our crew has to stop them, but half our crew decides to join them, so they end up fighting. Now, with blood everywhere, it's Marie's time to shine. She goes full beast mode and stops the rest of the rampaging soups. Now Homelander shows up, and he wants the next generation to embrace anti-human ideals. So he spins the story, makes Kate and Sam, who joined the massacre, the Guardians of Godalkin, and he blames everything on the rest of our friends who go off to super jail. Now back to The Boys Season 4, where Victoria Newman has been elected vice president, the head popper soup one head away from the presidency. The boys try everything they can to kill her, but she's one of those top-tier soups that is basically invincible. When Homelander got cheered for killing that guy, he thought he could do whatever he wants, but turns out he can't yet. He will be acquitted, but he has to sit through trial. He has big dreams for a world run by soups, but he's having trouble achieving that with his current team, who are all dumb. So it's time to recruit someone smart, the Soup Sage, the smartest woman alive. Although she's quick to point out she's the smartest person alive. He lays out his goal to conquer the world, but to do it in a way so people still love him as the good guy. And Sage is totally down and has already come up with a master plan. Things are politically tense right now, the Starlighters versus Home Teamers, and Sage, dressed as a Starlighter, kicks off a big riot. Then Homelander kills a couple of his loyal fans and leaves the bodies there to make the Starlighters look like the bad guys. Next part of the plan is to recruit the Soup Firecracker. Her powers are not impressive, but she runs a popular right-wing podcast, and so she's recruited into the Seven, and her ideas are made mainstream. And she finds an in with Homelander when she takes meds to induce lactation. Yes, Firecracker becomes Homelander's new milk mommy. Annie, of course, is the face of the Starlighter movement, so Firecracker fills the airwaves with non-stop, unfounded personal attacks on her. So finally, Annie flies over there and beats this girl down, which of course is exactly what Sage wanted. Now Starlight looks like the crazy one. Next step is to recruit Victoria Newman to join their coup. If this coup is gonna work, they need the support of the ultra-wealthy elite. And while Homelander has gotten very good at winning over the MAGA crowd, it's not working on this group. They keep asking annoying questions like, how do you plan to actually run a country? But Victoria Newman has answered answers to that, and so with her support, the coup is on. The boys have been investigating like Huey sneaks into this party disguised as the Soup Web Weaver, but ends up in the sex dungeon. All the boys have also dealt with their personal drama, like Huey's dad dies and he confronts his mom who abandoned him as a kid, emotions, blah blah blah. Now A-Train has realized he was a bad guy and is starting a redemption arc. He starts leaking intel to the boys, helping them out for real. And he and Huey have a redo of the fake corporate apology he gave him back in season 1. He gives him a real apology and Huey forgives him. Now Homelander's had enough of the boys, so he sends his lackeys to go kill them, including Black Noir. He did kill the real Black Noir last season, but since he never takes off his mask, they just recast him with a new actor soup. The Deep, meanwhile, has been on an anti-redemption arc. He has continued to be a pathetic joke background character, but he's sick of everyone laughing at him. He's realized you get more respect by being a villain. So it's time for a super fight, where A-Train comes in and fights on Annie's side. In the end, A-Train and Annie win, but now his cover is fully blown, so he's got to go off the grid. Homelander's proud of himself for finding the leak, but Sage is like, you dummy, I knew A-Train was the leak and was intentionally feeding him what I wanted the boys to know. She's like, look, if this is gonna work, you're gonna have to trust me. But Homelander's tired of being talked down to. He fires her, figures he can handle it from here. And they're on the final part of their plan, assassinate the president with a shapeshifter soup. The boys are in the bunker protecting the president. There's no way the shapeshifter can get in. Unless, of course, they're already here. Yes, they replaced Annie days ago. Now it's time to kill the president, but they're stopped by Starlight, who broke free and saves the day. With his plan failed, Homelander starts freaking out and decides to improvise. He outs Victoria Newman as a soup on live TV. This was not the plan and completely destroys her own credibility. She realizes Homelander is a bad partner and she's made a huge mistake. So she decides to work with the boys to help take Homelander down. Meanwhile, Billy Butcher is dying from his Temp V brain tumor, and there's something weird with it. A few times he blacks out and somehow kills a soup. He starts hallucinating his dead wife Becca, who wants him to save Ryan from Homelander, who is a very bad influence. He's trying to make his son a soup, but when he makes him kill this guy, Ryan feels real bad. So he goes to talk to his old friend Butcher, who's slowly trying to work this kid into leaving Homelander on his own. Meanwhile, Butcher reconnects with his old friend Joe Kessler, who is basically the American version of him. He tells him about the soup-killing virus from Gen V and how Victoria Newman stole it. So to get their hands on it, the boys make a deal with Stan Edgar. He takes them to Victoria's secret country house, which she's turned into a science lab, with her scientist working on it, who is incidentally her boyfriend. But the Compound V seeped into the groundwater and turned all the farm animals into killer soups. In the end, the virus is lost, and it looks like her scientist boyfriend died. But Butcher faked his death. He kidnapped him and is going to force him to make more of the virus to kill Homelander. But making the virus strong enough to kill Homelander would make it uncontrollable. It would turn into a global pandemic and kill all soups. Kessler is fine with that, and the old Billy Butcher would be. But he's learned that some soups are good, and especially doesn't want to kill Ryan. The debate gets awkward when Kessler responds directly to Becca. That's right, Kessler is in Butcher's head too. The real one died years ago, and Butcher's crazier than he thought. Long story short, the scientist escapes, but Frenchie's able to finish his work and whips up a batch of the virus. But Butcher doesn't want to use it yet. He tries one last time with Ryan to convince him to leave his evil super dad. But Grandma Grace is out of time. Kid, we need to train you to kill your dad, and she pushes him way too hard. So now Ryan pushes her way too hard and now kills Mallory. This poor kid is all messed up, and now he's in the wind. So now Butcher agrees it's time to do it Kessler's way. Now working with his tumor, it's not killing him. He's stronger than ever. And he doesn't want to work with Victoria Newman. He wants to kill her. And oh, crazy tumor tentacles burst out of his chest. Before anyone can react, he rips Newman in half. Yes, Billy Butcher has become a crazy venom symbiote soup, and he's not holding back anymore. He's ready to do whatever it takes. Now with Newman dead and the president alive, it seems like Homelander's plan has failed. But now Sage walks in. Turns out this was her plan the whole time. She knew if she told Homelander, he would just mess it up. The shifter wasn't supposed to kill the president, just record him ordering Newman be killed because she's a soup. It makes it look like he's the bad guy, so he's impeached, and the next guy in line is all too happy to be Homelander's puppet. So Homelander is running the American government, and he's finally realized his dream to make America super again. To tie up loose ends, he's going to kill anyone at Vought with dirt on him, which Ashley Barrett realizes includes herself. So she takes Compound V, which remember, on an adult is a huge gamble. She might end up with good powers or with super gross powers. The boys realize they have to flee the country, but it's already too late. With the full power of the US government, all the boys are rounded up. Frenchie's grabbed by Mind Control Kate from Gen V, and Kimiko speaks her first word just to yell no. But as the face of the resistance, Starlight realizes she has to flee and live to fight another day. And Billy Butcher is out there too, with the completed version of the virus, ready to kill Homelander no matter what it costs. Finally, in Gen V Season 2, our good students spent the summer in super jail, but now they're let out. Vought decided it's better for optics if they toe the new party line. Except Andre, who died in an escape attempt because tragically his actor died in real life. But Marie Moreau is on the run. She had escaped earlier, and now she's found by Starlight, who needs her to go back to school. She discovered there's a new secret science thing going on there, Project Odessa, that might be the key to defeating Homelander. So Marie publicly plays nice with Vought, and the crew is back at God U. They don't discover discover what Project Odessa is, but they discover Marie was part of it, and the scientist running the project is their new dean, Cypher. His whole thing is to cultivate strong soups, not ones with useless powers, like this guy who can suck things up in his butt. So he starts to train our crew to push them to the limits, and Marie especially he believes can be the strongest soup of them all. Eventually Jordan tries to speak out against Vought, so they label them a villain and make them fight Marie. But instead of fighting, these two kiss. Yeah, they've got a romance going. But Cypher's not gonna let that happen. Turns out he has puppet master powers and forces Marie to fight Jordan. After this, they refuse to play nice anymore, and Cypher's fine with that. He'll just send them back to super jail. And in here with them now is Marie's long-lost sister. So they do a prison break, but Marie's sister has already been killed, but she's only mostly dead, and this pushes Marie to the limit, uses her blood powers to heal her back to life. Meanwhile, Kate and Sam have realized they were bad and now want to help their friends. And now the whole crew is picked up by Stan Edgar. He takes them to his Homelander-proof billionaire bunker where he's been hiding out with, by the way, his grandkid, Victoria Newman's daughter, who has crazy mouth tentacles. He explains Project Odessa was an attempt to make the strongest soups ever. In fact, it's the project that created Homelander, and so Marie Moreau is theoretically on that level. Head of the project back in the day was Dr. Godolkin, for whom the school is named. He was thought to have died in a lab accident, but turns out Cypher has him prisoner in his basement. He knows more about soups than anyone. If there's a way to stop Homelander, he might be the key. Our crew gets help from Andre's dad, Polarity, whose own powers are killing him, but Marie does her healing thing and Polarity's fully healed. He goes and fights Cypher while Marie rescues and heals Godolkin. But now Cypher is acting different. He's like, wait, I'm a normal guy. I was being controlled. Yes, Godolkin wasn't a prisoner. He himself is the Puppet Master Soup. And turns out he's been working with none other than Sage, and turns out they're in love. But now he ditches her plan. He's got one of his own. He rounds up all the useless soups on campus and controls them, makes them fight to the death to purge them and make him stronger. Marie busts in to stop him, and she's not alone. Her whole crew was hiding inside Butt Guy's butt. And so working together, our crew takes Godolkin down. But now their cover is fully blown, our crew has to go on the run. So they meet up with Starlight and A-Train. It's time for our kids to graduate and join the real resistance. And Marie Moreau, who thought she was a nobody, may be the key to taking down Homelander. Find out how the story comes to an end in the final season of The Boys. If you liked this recap, hit that subscribe button for more of the best recaps of TV and movies.